All right, good afternoon, everyone. So this is edition 2 or episode 2 of Quarantine Life. And today I'm your guest host, Tom Galati, and trying to match what Miss Danielle Asher did yesterday. I thought she did a great job. I'm trying to move this over here so that you can see me. And I'm also, let me see if I can shut this off for right now, because what I did was I prepared a few slides. So I didn't know what I would do. I have a half hour today because I had a meeting come up for work. And so what I figured I would do is talk about how I've been handling the quarantine with my family. And there's been some good, there's been some challenges, but we're making the best of it and we're having some fun. So what I think is, let me see, just if I close that over, let me just see if I could check the Facebook feed, see if it's live there as well. And then it looks like we're cooking with gas. So apologies for the error with the slide here. I'm trying to get a little fancy. So I mentioned I put together a PowerPoint presentation. So I figured I would go with what I know and what I believe I'm good at, which is setting up meetings in PowerPoint. That's something I do a lot for work. My day job is working for an advertising agency out of Connecticut, where we buy TV and all types of digital advertising on behalf of our clients. One of our most well-known client is Flex Seal. That's the stuff that you see in hardware stores and Home Depot, and you can of course buy it online. And that's one of our biggest clients right now. We handle all their TV advertising. That's the stuff you spray on a leaky pipe and it fixes it. But they've turned it into a really big brand, including Flex Tape and a lot of other things too. So let me see if I go into opening this up. Let me see if I can share this out to some of the other pages. I see Govs Comedy Club Radio is live in here with me. So thank you, Mike O'Toole, for all your help in setting this up for us. Thank you again, Danielle Asher, for setting up the logo for me to use today. I really appreciate it. I'm going to share this out to a few different groups. And let's see, right here. I'll share it out over here. And let's see, one or two others. And share it out to Graz's page if you don't mind, Graz, Breakfast Club. And let's see, I think that's good for right now. So again, my name is Tom Galati. I host a show every other Saturday called Cruising the Pike, Cars and Comedy with Tom Galati. I've been doing stand-up for only a few months, as you could probably tell because you're not laughing yet. But I'm really enjoying it. I was doing a bunch of open mics before the virus changed our worlds. And I'm excited to start doing it again. I love the feedback, and I really feel like it's this tight-knit group. Jeff Bosey is actually the person who turned me on to Govs Comedy Radio. So if you don't like me on here, you could blame him. Just kidding, Jeff. But I feel like I've come to terms with the quarantine at this point. I don't know if you're like me, but I feel like it was the 7 stages of grief, where, you know, of course, all these things, it started to snowball, right? There were all these things being canceled one after the other. And then all of a sudden it was like within a few days, our lives were canceled. There were funny memes that said 2020, as we know it, is canceled. And so I feel like, of course, there was, you know, anger and sadness and all the stages that go with grief. And I feel like I'm coming around towards the end of it, which is acceptance and trying to make the best of it. So I have 3 young kids, a 10-year-old daughter, twin boys that are 6. And I like to joke that my boys are like having, 2 orangutans or 2 monkeys. And my daughter's like having an old cat. She can usually be found sitting, on her iPad, nice and quiet, and saying, "Oh, is there anything I can get you, Father?" And if they were all like her, I would probably have 8 kids. But they're not. And I have my boys, which I love to death. But they're literally eating me out of house and home. So during breakfast, they're asking if they can have a snack and what's for lunch. And, literally just going through all of our food rations at this point. So if you want to chime in with anything, I see Tony Walker, Felix, Danielle Asher, my buddy Chris Thomas. I know there's a Chris Thomas that's friends with Govs Comedy Radio. This is my Chris Thomas. I worked with him at LinkedIn and at Microsoft. I see Gina Kangemi and a bunch of others. So thank you so much for tuning in. I believe my mom and dad are tuning in, and my sister Christine. I really appreciate their support. And my wife is homeschooling our kids downstairs. How do I know that? Because I hear a lot of yelling and screaming and crying. And that's coming from all four of them, my wife and my kids. But I have to say we're definitely making the best of it. I almost feel like there's the challenges that go with it, but I feel like sprinkled in between every part of each day is kind of like the feeling you get from a snow day, right? This is completely unexpected, but at some point you're outside playing with your kids or your or loved ones, and or doing something that you enjoy that you weren't expecting to be able to enjoy at that point. You'll see in some of the pictures that I share, hopefully I can share it well, but you'll see from some of these pictures that we're cooking together, we're eating dinner at the same time more regularly. Life gets in the way sometimes of these types of moments, whether it's, after school sports or Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, all the different things that we do that a lot of other families on Long Island do and across the globe do with their family. And all those things are great and all those things are important. But it's also nice that, we're pretty much having breakfast together every morning and, having lunch on or around the same time every day, but definitely dinner. And last night we played manhunt with the kids outside. And I mostly just wanted to hide and get away from the kids for a little while. So it was my idea. And I found a really good hiding spot, and it gave me some peace and quiet for about a good 7 minutes. It's the same reason why I don't mind taking out the garbage anymore. The way I see it, it's about 2.5 minutes to myself twice a week. So don't mind taking out the garbage either. I actually get excited taking out the garbage now. I put on a nice outfit, and I get excited that I get to take a trip to the curb. But yeah, so we're also using HelloFresh, which is good. That delivery has been coming. We did it once actually so far, but we've done it. We do about a once a month delivery. So of course that helps, and they give you everything you need to make dinner. And the other night, Vanessa and I made a roast pork tenderloin. This is forcing our kids to eat what we have because we can't be as picky and say, I want this tonight or I want that tonight. So I feel like it's also teaching our kids some of the things that I was accustomed to growing up. And, I have awesome memories of growing up with my parents and my sister. And we didn't always have a choice. If my mom was making pork chops that night, that's what was for dinner. If she was making peas and macaroni or anything like that, that's what was for dinner. So, and same thing, my parents would make us lunch to bring to school, and that's what we ate. And I feel like we've fallen into this system where, our kids have a lot of say in what's going on and maybe a little too much sometimes. So, and I'm not saying that as the royal we, I'm saying I know we could be guilty of that in my house. So I feel like if anything, this has taught our kids to maybe slow down a little bit and, kind of take everything not take everything for granted, all the special time that we have together and all the things that we can do. Just looking down to see if I see Christine's on there. I thought she was going to be on. So if anyone wants to chime in with anything or any feedback, if you can hear me okay or you can or anything like that, please let me know. Like I said, I'm trying to get fancy by putting in this PowerPoint presentation because I thought this would be a fun way for me to illustrate what I've been doing over the course of the last 3 or 4 weeks. And again, it's in the format that I'm most used to. So let me see if I can do this now. If I put this, I might have to make this bigger and then go back here. And let me see if I can do this screen capture here, window capture. Again, props to Mike O'Toole for helping us figure some of this stuff out. He didn't walk me through this, but I think this is how I do it based upon following his advice here. So this is doing the window capture, and let me hit OK and see now if I can advance those slides. So if I do that, I'm actually going to see, if you don't mind, a little bit of patience here while I check with the lag on my phone just to make sure that you're seeing what I want you to see and what I hope you can see as I go through my PowerPoint presentation. So I'm looking down at my phone. Rosemary Gridley, hello from Floral Park. Hello, Rosemary. It's so nice of you to join us today. Thank you. Let me see. I'm checking my phone for the lag here. I know this makes for great radio, right? Or great podcast or great streaming TV. Like I said, this is kind of an extension of what I've been doing with the Cars and Comedy format that I really enjoy. I'm a big car enthusiast, as you can probably guess at this point if you've seen the other show or heard of it. So I'm really excited about this opportunity to start to have more guests like I had on Saturday. I had Mike DeLucia, who owns a classic car dealership, and he was a great guest, and he had a great perspective talking about people that have a classic car right now. He buys and sells cars. So if you have a classic car in the garage and you're kind of tight on cash right now, he's not the type of person to take advantage. So it could be a good opportunity for you to perhaps sell him that vehicle if you want some extra cash right now. And that could be, a way to kind of get through this for right now. And then you could maybe, buy something else once this is all over. So I'm checking right now to see if this is actually changed into, and I'm hopeful that it is, because I put together some cool pictures showing what's been going on. And I'd like to be able to show this to all of you. So the first image I have, by the way, is of Bill Murray. So if I have to explain all the pictures, maybe I will. But the picture is the image. I know a lot of people have been equating this to Groundhog's Day, where, of course, you wake up and every day, I clearly, I clearly forget what day it is sometimes when I wake up. So it's very easy to fall into that trap of having it feel like it's Groundhog's Day. You're just reliving the same day over and over and over again. So the image that I started off with, and hopeful maybe once I do this or build it out, this might be able to do it. But maybe if it, let me see something here. Oh, you know what I can do? I think if I go back and forth, might not be the best way to do it, but this could be a way to do it. So maybe if I do it like that, I'm just going to allow for the lag really quickly, and I appreciate your patience. This is going to be a half-hour show, as I mentioned before. I have a call that came up for work, unfortunately, at 2:30 today. So I'm basically just cutting this a little bit short. And if I can't get the PowerPoint to work, you might be happy that I cut it a little short. But actually, my mom just texted me and she said, "What's for lunch?" So my new favorite lunch to have is peanut butter and jelly with chocolate milk. So at some point, I'm going to get sick of that, just like I'm getting sick of everything else that we're eating, because we are definitely seeing a lot of repeats come up. But let me see, maybe if I change this within the OBS software that we have, I might be able to change this, get rid of that. And okay, maybe if I do that, sorry about that. So let me change this source here. So window capture, I'm just going to try this one more time, see if this works a little bit better. And hopefully this works now. I'm trying something a little bit different, but it's only showing that. So maybe if I close this and try that. Maybe this will work. This was the way that I did the Zoom meeting the other day with my guest for Cars and Comedy. So I was hopeful that this would work the same way for this here, since I was able to see it under testing it. So if I do that and change that out, maybe what I can do is take this, copy that. So let me see here. And if you hear that in the background, apologies for any noise in the background, but that is my children are e-learning right now with let's see here. They're reading from a book, and then they have to work on their reading comprehension. So I'm just going to try this one more time under, slideshow. Let me see this here. So I think I put everything here under downloads. So maybe what I can do first is, let's try this here. So here's a picture. Hopefully you guys can see this. Here's an old picture of my kids from Halloween a few years back. And let me just see if I can pull this up here now. So these are my children here, with my daughter being Vanessa as Dorothy, and Dominic and Daniel are Scarecrow and the Lion. And actually, that same year I was the Tin Man, so I'm going to see if I can find that picture too. But I also want to see, I did my first TikTok video this week, so we're asking everyone, including our kids, to try things that they're a little uncomfortable with, come out of their comfort zone a little bit by eating food like roast pork tenderloin. But that was an example of me really taking the time to put together a cool costume for my kids, and we had a really fun Halloween that year. So hopefully this picture comes up, and then maybe once I change it out, I can swap in the other pictures that I've included within my PowerPoint presentation, so you can get a sense of what I've been doing for the last 3 weeks. But Tiger King is one of them. I don't know if there's anyone at home that's been watching Tiger King. The memes are amazing, and I think it's it's really interesting when you see how people have said that with about 3 weeks or 4 weeks away from professional sports, here are people watching a gay zookeeper lure in straight men with meth and tigers. The show is amazing. I'm pretty sure Carol Baskin had something to do with her husband's whereabouts, but it's been a great show. It was really entertaining. Certainly helping with my quarantine life. And my wife and I basically just look at each other after each episode and say, did we really just see that? And it's hard to believe that that's actually going on. All right, so thank you, Brett, for telling me you could see the picture. I'm seeing it now. Hello, Ken Fischel. I see you're on there as well. Christine's saying it worked. So I guess everyone can see me sweating trying to figure this out. So let me see now if I can get rid of that image. And what I'll do is I will remove this image here. And then what I'll try and do is go into adding 1 or 2 more pictures before we end this, because I'm sure now by the time I got this going, it'll be time to finish the show. But I had it saved here as, I wonder, let's see if I can. Thanks, Brett, for Brett saw my TikTok video, and I told him that that's my new thing. So Brett Fumara was going to be a guest on the show today, and we were going to chat for a little while. Brett is the producer of BAB's morning show, Roger and JP in the Morning. Brett and I go back a real long time. He's going to be on the show once we're back in the studio, and he's a very good friend of mine. He's been in radio for well over 20 years. We met at Nassau Community College when he was DJing a show on WHPC, the radio station at Nassau Community College, or as it's often referred to as 13th grade. Brett and I met in one of our classes, and we've been friends ever since. Been in each other's weddings, and he's just a great, great guy. So I was hoping to have him on to talk about what he's been doing while he's under quarantine. I know he's had the show going on, and he's also been hosting Steve Ballone and Laura Curran, the county executives of Nassau and Suffolk County, and helping to get their listeners informed about what's going on with the virus and what they need to know. So I think this other picture should come up too. I'm just checking within the feed on my phone now, but this was the more complete version of that picture with me as the Tin Man, my wife as the Wicked Witch. I'm not going to make any jokes there because I know she's going to see this at some point. Totally kidding. But then you'll see the kids there. You'll see Dominic, the lion, is holding a lawnmower. And I think my wife's families are all landscapers, so I'm guessing it's in his blood. And that's why he is a lawn mowing lion from The Wizard of Oz. So I'm glad this worked out. I don't have all the pictures saved the exact same way unless I could do one or two more before this ends. But maybe there's a way that I can share the TikTok video the same way. But the other thing that I did was that I thought was pretty cool is I've been connecting with other comedians through social media ever since I've been connected to so many great people through GovsRadio. And I'm just going to close this off right now. And one person that actually just shared with my family that I connected with, and I had a chance to tell him that I'm a really big fan, is John Mulrooney. And when I did my first show of Cars and Comedy at the studio at Governor's Radio, I mentioned his name because when I was younger, I would watch a lot of stand-up comedy and a lot of really funny comedians. And there was a show on Saturday nights, and it was filmed live at a comic strip live in LA. And I would watch that with my family, and we would laugh. And John Mulrooney was the host. And so I was sharing with him how I've just recently gotten into stand-up comedy and that I'm a really big fan. And so that was like a really cool moment for me so far. The other was getting a note back from Jim Brewer saying that he wouldn't do my show. So sometimes a no is as good as a yes. I'm in sales and I've learned that. But it was really cool actually to get a reply from him. And he had said, maybe at some point I'll do your show, but unfortunately I can't do it right now. I was trying to have him zoom in for my Cars and Comedy show. But, I've reached out to a lot of comedians knowing that they have some free time on their hands at this point. And I'm saying that in jest, but with a lot of compassion to a lot of people that are out of work right now in all different types of sectors. But it was cool to get a note back from Jim Brewer. But I believe in the power of positive thinking. And my plan is to have Jerry Seinfeld on my show and Billy Joel on my show. Billy has his automobile collection and motorcycle collection up in Oyster Bay. We all know that Jerry Seinfeld has his show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, which is amazing, and he has an amazing car collection. I'm figuring he's local. He has played at Governor's at some point growing up here on Long Island. Of course, Billy Joel went to Hicksville High School, my alma mater, and the same as half of the people who work at Govs Comedy Radio with at least Tony and Sally. So Billy Joel, him and I are fellow alumnus of Hicksville High School. So I feel like, of course, why wouldn't he do my show, right? So being very hopeful that maybe he will one day. And again, Jerry Seinfeld, I've set my sights on having them on as well. But I'm going to see right now if I can at least maybe end with the TikTok video. Let me see if I can save this over here and see if I can play this back before we end today. So let's see. Shut this. No. But I do really appreciate everyone tuning in today, and especially since I was having technical difficulties. I really appreciate everyone's patience in trying to do this and bear with me. I thought Danielle did a great job yesterday. She joked and said that we're the first two guinea pigs for this 2 o'clock hour. And so I feel like one of the guinea pigs here trying to be daring and do this PowerPoint presentation. But, unfortunately it didn't work out. But let me see one more time if I can do this image here. And if I go into, if I browse here. Oh yeah, Christine said reach out to Sebastian Maniscalco. I could do that. That would be really cool too. I like Sebastian Maniscalco. So let's see, documents here. I'm trying to see where I save this here. So One more thing here, but I have shared it out. If you haven't started following my Facebook page, Cruising the Pike, Cars and Comedy with Tom Galati, I would ask you to please look out and start following me so that I can share out when I do also all these types of videos. I have the TikTok video online, so I could share it out there so everyone can see. I'm actually getting close to having to end this for the other call that I have coming up, but. But like I said, I really appreciate everyone logging in today, and I really appreciate your patience. Please make the best of it to the degree that you can. I know everyone's in a different situation. Danielle was talking about that yesterday. Um, there are different forms of making the best of this with either your family or with your hobbies or staying active or catching up on reading. I know a lot of people have made jokes and said that some celebrities have suggested that now's a great time to learn a second language or pick up a hobby like painting or something. And most people are just trying to figure out what day it is and shaking, potato chip crumbs off of their shirt. But, I feel like along the way too, we've had a few days where the drinking started a little bit earlier each day, where, went from having a glass of wine with dinner to a Bloody Mary with lunch. And so there was one or two of those days with the quarantine life where it was a little more challenging than other days. But I feel like the best thing that we've done is once you get into a routine, you shower in the morning like you would like you going to work, and you make the best of it, and you start to feel like you're in a routine, and you start to feel like yourself again. But I also want to give a shout out to Sally and Tony for keeping up with their show actually in the studio. That's one of the things I fell into a really good routine with that since I work from home, having that on either in the background or actively paying attention whenever I can to their show. And I realized that there was a day or two that they weren't on that I really missed it. And the days that they're on, it feels like some sense of normalcy right now. So a big shout out to Tony and Sally for continuing to do their show in the studio because they're able to. But and also for all the other guests at GovsRadio for keeping the lights on and keeping their messaging out in their shows. There's a lot of really talented people that have some really great shows at Govs Comedy Radio. And I'm excited that once we're all back in the studio, there's going to be some really great things happening. I think there's going to be some significant growth in our viewership. And I think there's some great shows on the horizon too. So once we're all back in the studio, I'm really excited about where this is going to go. Hopefully for me personally, but definitely for the station in general, I'm really excited about where this can go. So thank you everyone at Govs Radio for the opportunity to do this show and my regular show, Cars and Comedy. And hope you all the best. I hope everyone stays healthy. A big thanks to everyone on the front lines, healthcare workers and cops and firemen and everyone just working at the grocery store and CVS and everything like that. So big thanks to everyone who's considered essential right now and for all your help. So everyone, thank you. I love you.